Greetings, you've landed at the VUC, IP Communications and VoIP community. We would like to thank Simwood.com for their support. Simwood can turn you as a developer into a telco. Our hosted PBX is from onsip.com, and you can go to getonsip.com for a URL people can click to call you. We've been privileged over the last 5 years to be using the best conference bridge on the planet. Yes, I'm talking about zipdx.com, full color, full featured, full HD conference bridge. Our website, vuc.me on the webs, hosted by bluehost.com. And our worldwide local rate dial-ins are from voxbone.com. All right, excellent. And with that, before we introduce our guests, wanted to mention something about 2 events that you should be looking forward to. And those are Kamaillo World. Many of us will be there. That's in May in Berlin, Germany. Go to kamailloworld.com. I hope that's right. And the next one is the TAD Hack in Lisbon, 13th and 14th of June. And many of us will be at that. So you have 2 chances here in Europe to see us. And now, here's a little something we decided to cook up, which is we're going to be talking about Zello in a moment. And it's going to be a little hard to show this, but I'm going to call out on Zello. Hello, everybody. Let's see if anybody would like to check in. Let me call on Mr. James Bodie, first of all. James, are you with us?
Yeah, Roger. I am here. Over.
Okay, Mr. Andy Smith, sir, are you with us?
Present and correct or something.
All right, we won't go through the whole roll call, but I think Michael's on, and Michael's going to be sharing a screen. In fact, he is sharing a screen. Let me let him chime in, and I will put that screen on.
Hola, how are we doing? This is my 1+1 running Zello.
And he's lucky to be able to share that screen. And now let me introduce, first of all, our guest, and he's going to introduce the person next to him. We're talking Zello. This is a push-to-talk app, and I can let go of the button now, right? This is a push-to-talk app. Has been compared to Nextel, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But first of all, let's go to Bill Moore. And thank you, Bill, CEO of Zello. Thanks for joining us, Bill. And welcome.
Thank you very much. It's great to be on the program. And I'm here with the founder of Zello, Alex Gavrilov, who's the CTO.
Hello, Alex.
Hi.
Alex looks like he may have better things to do, but believe me, you're going to love it. You are going to love this because we make a lot of noise in this field, and hopefully we'll get some interesting comments. And I think there's already some feedback from us because we're big time into this kind of technology. But before we get into questions and so on, let's hear from you folks on maybe the origins. Alex, maybe this is for you to say, you're the founder, how this thing started and a little bit about the company, if you'd like.
Sure, yeah. It was started in 2005. Actually, the idea came from me trying to use ICQ on Java phone. So it was time before iPhone, before smartphones, but there was Java application for ICQ, and it was insanely cool because you could send messages and not pay for messages, and it had all kind of cool notification sounds, but it was really difficult to use on T9 keyboard. So I was thinking that if I could make an application which would do the same but would send voice instead, that would be keep all the great stuff from ICQ, but will take out the difficulty of using mobile keyboard. So that was the idea, and it was 2 years until it became an application, and application wasn't a mobile application. It was an application for PC, created in 2007, launched as and a Skype alternative for people who just want to exchange quick messages, and it was live from the beginning, so it was like radio for a PC. Still great idea. Should work faster than Skype. You don't need to focus on the call. You just shoot out the message, and asynchronously, whoever you're talking to can reply. And it didn't take out really until we had a mobile version. So the first mobile application was for Windows Mobile, because it was easy port from Windows to Windows Mobile, and we saw some nice traction right away. We could see people talking cross countries, cross continents using this Windows Mobile, and of course it was a small community. There are really like tech-savvy people who use Windows and know how to install apps on Windows Mobile. But it was a sign that something is there, something is working. And it really took off when we ported it to BlackBerry. But at that time, there was already iPhone around, and you could already have apps for iPhone and even Android. But by that time, we started to sell it as a business application, and the thing people asked most about at that time still was BlackBerry. Kind of sounds strange now, but was true back then. And so when we launched it on BlackBerry, it was no app store. It was just file download from Zello web. It was called LoudTalks back then. So people download the file, and that was insanely popular. So we got from like 10,000 users to 2 million users in under 3 weeks, which was a huge challenge to our architecture and everything. But from there, essentially, the modern history of Zello started.
Yeah,
and now we have.
You're also on Windows Phone, which is not a huge library of apps on that. So that's, I guess, you get kudos for that too, right?
Well, Microsoft gets kudos for that because they worked really hard to get apps on the platform. And yeah, and it's disappointing. I mean, in terms of from developer standpoint, it doesn't get much use at all. Like in some countries, it's used more than in others. Like in Brazil or Russia, there are some fair amount of users, but overall, it's like 1% of our users using Windows Phone, and like 70 using Android.
70% using Android?
Yes.
Interesting. I've got some questions, more businessy questions for Bill, but I wanted to ask you, first of all, a tech question, Alex, and I think this is your domain, which is developing for 4 platforms. I mean, a lot of things start on Windows, or sometimes they start on Android. They spend months before they can get onto the second platform. Not that many people support 4. I mean, you've been around, so I get that, but how hard, how difficult is it to be supporting the 4 platforms? I mean, these are 4 totally different things, right?
All right. Yeah. Well, maybe it's even more than 4 because there's Android and Android, Windows, and then there is Windows Phone, which is a completely different platform, which made it difficult for Microsoft to get apps there because it's just completely different.
Oh, because it's a Windows version, not the phone. There's a Windows version, right? I didn't realize. I didn't think about that. I think I saw it, but didn't know.
Yeah. So there's some people still use this.
But Windows 10 will be this. The phone will be the same soon as Windows 10, right? So you'll lose one.
Yeah. That's the plan, and I hope it works. And it is difficult, and it's a hard choice because for communication application like Zello, you want all of your friends to be able to use it. So adding additional platforms makes it more useful for everybody. Like for Android users, they benefit from supporting Windows Phone. So that's the big advantage of that. But of course, big disadvantage is it's pretty, like, it slows you down. So if you want to implement new feature, you need to spend like 4 times more time on it, which is a big cost.
Okay, here's a question for whoever would like to field it. And of course, we've got a bunch of people here, and a lot of them have questions. But here's maybe my last one for a moment, which is, what applications do you know about? I mean, one can imagine very easily groups. And by the way, we need to talk about the pro version. There are groups like volunteer fire departments. I know that's how we found out about it, because one of our members is in that his local, or has something to do with that. Are there any really unimaginable uses for it? What do you know about the use cases, you guys?
Sure. Well, the one that's made us a little bit famous is protesters. So I don't know if you know that we call the consumer side social radio, and it's very different than the application for business side. But it was the #1 overall app in Egypt during their uprising, and then #1 overall app in Turkey. That is above Twitter, above Facebook, above YouTube, any app. The same phenomena repeated in Venezuela, at which point the government attempted to shut down the application, which was newsworthy. That was about a year ago now. It's also been the #1 overall app in Ukraine. So that's kind of an interesting use case, and makes sense because you're mobile and you need real-time communication. It's extraordinarily popular with people driving who are bored, with groups who use it instead of as a version of messaging. Our particular emphasis has been on live public conversations, and that's creates value in the same way of ham radio or CB radio, which is because it's live human voice. It's a much more intimate communication than texting or other alternatives. And so we really focus narrowly on that medium with great results. And so what we see are groups that have campouts together, and a coffee shop in Singapore that's branded Zello, and blood donations where the groups get together, and they wear their Zello shirts, and they build really strong communities and really great friendships because it's live voice. It's how we most naturally communicate. It's your business. You understand that. So it's also popular with it's the 911 system for South Africa, for example. It's just kind of risen informally. And if we didn't mention, there's 80 million registered users around the globe. So not as strong in the United States, but it's really popular in big parts of the world.
Well, we all get the paradigm, as a lot of us are former ham radio operators. I know James. Yeah. I'm going to be reading some of the IRC stuff. James, why don't you go ahead? You have some questions. You have to unmute first, of course.
That's right.
There we go.
In the IRC chat. Yeah, hi, Bill. As Randy says, a number of us are current serving IRC operators, ham radio operators. It's been one of those days today. I've been using Echolink for a couple of years now. How does Zello differ from Echolink? I note that you've got some add-on bits and pieces that you can interface Zello into radios, but I guess there are more differences than just that.
Yeah, well, Zello is quite different from Echolink because Echolink is great network for connecting radios over the internet, which is like the application is for radio operators, and Zello is used by just everybody. It's really easy to use Zello as an application, and there are people who use Zello to connect to the radio, so to bring radio channels, bridge radio channels to Zello channels, which kind of similar to Echolink, but other than that, it's like the main use is just people using Zello in radio style, but not knowing anything about radio, radio technology.
Yeah. Well, it's clearly very different. I mean, the feature set of Zello is much richer in certain ways. For example, one of the features that I really like is that the audio chunks are recorded, and you can go back in time and you can replay a transmission that was made. I think that's really brilliant.
Well, people love that. There's two main sides to our business: consumer, which you'd love to talk about more, and one particular point is, unlike ham radio, there are no barriers. Right? You don't need to understand the technology. You don't need to spend any money on equipment, which is good and bad. Good in it's a huge audience and everyday folks can use it. Bad at it's a lot. We have problems with, we call them bad guys, but trolls and disruptive behavior, the same kinds of things you've seen on IRC and other community. So that's a challenge and makes that side of the business interesting and difficult. The other side is much simpler, which is instead of Nextel or two-way radio for business, you use a subscription. Many small businesses use our free product, but the advantage is it works on any carrier, on any device, and of course there's no range restrictions. All the advantages that come with VoIP in a push-to-talk mode.
Yeah, brilliant.
You wanted to ask about encryption, so I don't know what happened to him, but he seems to have got.
Well, I'll ask about encryption.
There we go. All right, James.
Yeah, how secure is Zello? I'm guessing that the signaling and the media streams are encrypted, and I'm guessing that that's one of the reasons why it's so popular in places where there are demonstrations going on. Is that correct?
Well, no. In Zello, free consumer Zello, we don't encrypt media.
Speaking of media streams.
Yeah, the data plan just cut.
And that's the NSA getting their own.
No, it's the data plan cutting in here. We'll stay with it for a while.
Back to the laptop.
Oh, they're back on the laptop. That's right. Well, yeah, somebody's downloading porn or something. I shouldn't have said that. Why would I say that, right? Anyway.
It's my turn to tell you off today.
While we're waiting for them to come back, maybe we could. What can we demo, Michael, on your screen?
Well, we can demonstrate the user interface, can't we?
What's that?
Just a second. I'll get the app right up to us here.
Let me go to another account, and I will try to. Contact you. Okay, so I'm going to go to. I'm going to go to Kamayopass, signing in, and I'm going to add a user. Is it the usual MJ?
MJ Graves 66.
I won't ask, since it's obviously not your age. Okay, so I am. Oh, wait, let me go back here. I don't know how well you can see this. Yeah, you can see it. So I found him as a contact. I press his name, and you can see here, may or may not be able to read it. It says add to contacts up here. I'm going to click on that, and now I'm going to show his screen. And
I just got a little alert that says that I got a contact request.
And you can see something downloading, kind of. Oh, it's a message, yeah. So there's your contact requests.
So
But you don't want to show Zelda 625 out of Singapore, though. Okay.
I'll take Bob Bowles, though.
You can do it whilst upgrading your YouTube at the same time. That's brilliant. And updating.
Oh God, yeah, right. Thank you for that live. Wait, let me check and see if I've got a new OnePlus.
Yeah, I have a OnePlus invite today. If anybody's after such things. So there, I'm now connected to Camellia Pass, and Bob Bowles is there, and Bob is now available. I would say, hey Bob, how's it going?
Oh, no updates.
Come on, Bob, where are you?
Okay, well, anyway, so this is how you're connecting people. While you're on that screen, here we go. Back.
Hey, Jim. Just got you. Yo, Jim. Welcome to this. And you know what? BlackBerry apps. Isn't that sweet?
Yeah, he knows. He's on BlackBerry. So, Bill, we're going through a little bit of demo, and let me say something while we have your screen up here, Michael, which is that you can see the. Oh, wait a minute. It's blocked by my menu now. I was going to explain some of the things up at the top, but now I'm seeing my own menus.
Bob just shared a picture with me.
Damn it. My Hangout menu is blocking the top, but what you can see, oh, Motley Fool is updating. So you see the recent contacts. You see the recent messages. You see contacts. You see channels. The channels is interesting. Let's have the guys. They're back, so let's have them explain channels. Bill.
Sure. There's two main kinds: private and public. Private have a password, and you would invite people that you know. Public are available to anybody. And then within channels, there's a couple other variants. So we added a feature called Select, which is anybody can listen, but moderators need to approve people before they can speak to cut down on disruption. The general idea is when you create a channel, you own it. You can appoint moderators who then have controls over who can be in and out. They can block people. And we've been refining those style features for quite a while to improve the overall health of the conversations. Popular channels show up on a list called trending, and they're either filtered or not. Filtered would be those that have been approved by an editor, and essentially they're family friendly. We have policies that say they're not sex channels, there's not illegal drugs, but those policies depend on the community to flag channels, and so the all list, certainly is going to have bad language, but often those are pretty fun and interesting too.
All right, I got rid of the menu to see what was at the top of the screen, and then I couldn't unmute. Anybody else have any questions who's within the sound of my voice? Let us know. I'm looking at IRC.
I have a couple of questions.
Go, Andy.
Okay, so should we start with technical ones?
Yes.
I'm interested in the way that this actually streams. Are you mixing the media and the signaling together? Are they separate channels? Are they defined types, or is it a proprietary protocol? What is it?
Going to my phone now.
Well, Zello uses a proprietary protocol, and I'll show you the question about mixing.
Sorry, the question about mixing. Okay, okay. Do we have a separate media stream and a signaling stream, or are they all part of the same protocol?
Well, yeah, they separate their media stream and signaling. Yeah, they both are proprietary.
Okay, it's interesting in the way that it does stream and start to play live, which is good. And for a little while, I thought that Zello at Work, that was the difference between the two. So the next question really is, what's the difference between the free Zello and Zello at Work?
And maybe I'll take that. And in both cases, we're emulating a two-way radio, and so that call setup and latency is really important. And if you look at different push-to-talk walkie-talkie apps, most agree, Zello is the best. It's fast and it's reliable in a wide variety of environments, which is valuable to businesses too. And it's the same core technology used under both. The business version, though, gives you centralized administration, so which is important if you have a team more than, say, 20 users. So if you're a flower shop with 3 drivers, the free version is probably fine. Go to 3 phones, create accounts, create a private channel, put a password on it, it's going to work great for you. The business version, though, you go to a browser for central control of users and channels with other features as well. So, for example, the business version is encrypted, the consumer version is not. The business version works on Windows Mobile for legacy rugged devices, and the consumer version does not. But the main difference is packaging and application for business versus consumer.
Okay, so do you have just a single point of presence around the world, or are there different nodes? Is this clustered geographically? How are you handling that?
No, we keep all those servers in data center in the US and Washington D.C. And it works surprisingly good for users around the world.
Yeah, I understand that, but as you said, one of the real things about walkie-talkies and push-to-talk systems is the latency involved. So is it plausible, for instance, that you might come to some form of business whereby you almost white label this? You'll install somebody their own Zello server, so that they get a very short ping times, low latency.
I skip that as a product option. So you can most use it as a hosted service, but you can buy a server license, and many large organizations do install it, control it, put it behind their firewall. It's the exact same software, but it's self-contained. It's a license fee instead of a subscription fee, and they control it.
In that environment, is there any integration with other aspects of the organization, or is it an island because of the proprietary protocols, etc.?
Well, there's an API into the service, and so organizations and other application companies have used that. For example, to integrate, sign-on or user accounts or with other apps. We've taken an approach to stay pretty narrowly focused on real-time, on voice. The apps also have photo sharing. But we have worked with other organizations who have vertical software applications. And so one of the strongest has been around construction, logistics, and cement style companies, where we have big companies like Cemex and Lafarge who are customers. And so they've taken Zello with the API, and then also there's an SDK for Windows and for the Android, and they'll package it up in for Windows Mobile on special rugged devices with special accessories, and they'll make a nice kit where we supply the push-to-talk, they've supplied, the rest of the routing and dispatch and, how thick is the cement and all of that. The same has happened to another big customer is YRC, Yellow Freight, where they have 13,000 drivers that use it every day, and they've mixed Zello with some of their internal applications for an end-to-end system.
That's very cool.
It is. We first started playing with Zello, and we did a 24-hour VoIP-a-thon a couple of weeks ago, and so we're looking for subjects to look at during that, and we came across Zello during that. So that was our very first experience, and you've got to remember, there's a bunch of old guys here who are really rather tired. We've been up for a long time, but we struggled with the UI to start with. We didn't find it entirely intuitive, although having said that, now that we've used it for a while, it all makes perfect sense. So if once you know where things are, it's the idea of the eye. Whose idea was that? That's just it confused us for some while.
Oh, I take credit for that.
Well, congratulations. You managed to confuse a bunch of old guys for a long time.
Oh, I'm not a young man, and I was confused too. So.
Yeah. We appear to have. He's back again. Randy is back again. That's okay.
I had a heck of a time, and I'm sorry about that. Hopefully, you were able to keep going.
Oh, we sort of struggled a bit without you, Randy, but we managed.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Why am I not able? There we go.
But we have by avoiding a Swiss Army messaging app, which are most of the alternatives. One of the reasons it's been popular is it's narrowly focused with a big button, push to talk. So there's some other features that you played with, history, and lots of settings. But the core, the core use case is you push this button to talk. Another reason it's popular is there are many hardware companies, hardware accessory companies, who have modified